Good afternoon and welcome to the joint committee hearing on housing and water and land. It's Thursday, February 10th, 1:00 p.m. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will also include the 1:30 p.m. agenda of the committees on housing and transportation, as well as the 1:45 agenda of the committees on housing and commerce and consumer protection. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being live streamed on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 1 p.m. on Tuesday in room 225, and that's Tuesday, February 15th. For all those participating remotely, testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify.
What about my members? I see everybody.
Okay, so with that, we're ready to begin. So I see in the room our Vice Chair, Senator Drew Kanuha, and I also see Committee Member Carl Rhodes. Chair Inoue, would you like to introduce your committee members?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the Committee on Water and Land, we do have our Vice Chair, Keith Ogeron from Maui, Senator, as well as Senator Gil Revere, as well as Senator Misalucha, and I believe Senator Fabella will be joining us, and I understand he's on your committee as well, Senator Chang.
That's right, Chair Inoue, and I also see Senator Moriwaki of the Housing Committee with us today. Okay, we have several bills on today's agenda. The first three are housing in the lead. Chair Inoue, did you want to make any remarks on the water land lead bill?
Yes, thank you, Senator Chang. The Committee on Water and Land is the lead jointly with Housing with regards to Senate Bill 2884. And this is relating to the water resource management for affordable housing development. And this has to do with the Commission on Water Resource Management. The chair at this time is going to ask our committee, Senator, that we defer this measure. And let me add that this is an issue that can't make decisions only through this session. And this is, we've had a lot of comments in opposition of this measure, SB 2884, and as well as support. And I understand this issue many years ago as well. And so having said that, I'd like to defer this and hopefully that we all return next year. And I'd like to work with the those advocates for the measure, as well as an opportunity to offer the committee to work with those who are in opposition and who have some different opinions how we should tread through this dangerous waters as we see in SB 2084. And so, there's some good things about the measure. And then we also have to recognize that this issue covers many areas. And so I'd like to work with the district senators as well as the House members in the region, and also work with advocates and those that are affected by this measure. And so having said that, we will be deferring SB 2884 off of the agenda, and hope you agree, Senator Chang.
Yes, we will do the same and follow your lead.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll begin at the beginning then with Senate Bill 2583 relating to public lands. This bill exempts land set aside by the governor to HHFDC from classification as public lands subject to DLNR management provided that the lands are not ceded lands. We have two testifiers today. The first is HHFDC in support.
Aloha, good afternoon, Chairs Chang and Inoue. HHFTC stands on its written testimony in strong support. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Our second testifier is DLNR with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair,
Chairs.
Vice Chair, members of the committee. Sang Kim on behalf of DLNR Land Division. We stand on a written testimony offering comments and an amendment. I'm available for questions.
Thank you. So those are the only two testifiers that we have registered for SB 2583. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2583? Okay, if not, members, any questions for the testifiers? Okay.
Chair?
Yes, Chair Inoue.
Yes. DLNR has sent some recommended language, and I was wondering if Denise Matsubara from HHFDC had an opportunity. Denise, you have an opportunity to hear what the DLNR's comments were.
Thank you very much for the question, Chair Inoue. I have not had an opportunity to view their comments yet.
Oh, okay. Then, Chair, can we have Sang Kim back on then, at least for HHFDC to know what the testimony is on? Can you give him an opportunity to come back and testify? Sang Kim?
Yes. Would you like me to read the proposed?
Yeah.
amendment?
I think it should be clear.
Okay, so this is section 171-2, beginning on page 4, line 3. I'm gonna skip through the existing language, but towards the end, this is provided further that if lands pursuant to paragraph 6 are no longer needed for housing, finance, and development purposes, the land shall be returned to the public land trust administered by the department. And that's just right above the language regarding the stadium development district as well.
Okay, and that's on page 4, line 3 on the bill. Is that correct? Yeah, I just want to make sure that Denise understands and hears you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, we would be agreeable to that amendment. Thank you very much for the question.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. And I might also add, actually, so having worked on similar language in the past, instead of being returned to the public land trust administered by the department, the land, lands might not necessarily have come from DLNR's public land trust. So would DLNR be okay with amendment to have the lands returned to whatever agency they came from?
Yeah, I don't think that would be a problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, any further questions or discussion about Senate Bill 2583? Okay, if not, we'll proceed to our next measure, Senate Bill 2232, relating to important housing lands. It establishes that all state-owned lands located within 1 mile of any rail mass transit station shall be designated as important housing lands to promote the development of homes priced below market rates for Hawaii residents who are owner-occupants and who own no other real property. Requires state and county housing policies, tax policies, land use plans, ordinances, and rules to promote the long-term viability of important housing lands consistent with certain policies. Our first testifier with comments is DHHL.
Good afternoon, Chair Chang, Chair Inoue, and members of the committee. The department offers comments on this bill and a suggested amendment, and we stand by for questions.
Thank you. Our second testifier, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, with comments.
Good afternoon, Rodney Funakoshi from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. We stand on our written testimony offering comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next testifier is DLNR with opposition.
Good afternoon, Chairs Chang and Inouye. Ian Hirokawa with DLNR Land Division. Stand on our written testimony in opposition and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And we also have two individual testifiers, Galen Fox and John Kawamoto, in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2232? Okay, if not, are there any questions or discussion, members? Senator Riviere.
Thank you. For DLNR, just curious if they could kind of restate their opposition, and is there a way to maybe amend the bill in a way that would satisfy your DLNR's concerns and yet, you know,
I don't.
how do you make it better?
Oh, okay. We haven't thought about amendments, but I would say I think maybe restate the reasons for opposition. One is that it would significantly impact our proposed East Kapolei transit-oriented development project, which I would note it does include affordable housing as part of the project. You know, that are adjacent to the rail station, there is affordable housing planned for it there. But we also have other uses for lands located further away, and we feel that this would, you know, really impact our planned uses for those, you know, particularly light industrial uses. So, you know, we would maybe say nothing so, for maybe lack of a better word, nothing so stringent and, you know, it's sort of mandating the use of the lands. And also, I think the other issue for us is the way we read the bill, it calls for the sales of units. And, you know, what we're planning to do is rental housing, affordable rental housing. And, you know, the department doesn't support, unless it's a remnant, you know, the department does not support sales of land and, you know, essentially reducing the public land trust corpus. So I think we've had another bill that's coming up that has a similar provision, and we said, you know, maybe it should be modified to really focus on rental housing rather than sales.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Senator Rhodes.
Let's see, who should I ask? I guess DLNR still, I mean, the problem is that in other cities that have built rail lines, if you don't put in the affordable housing at the rail stations right away, it immediately becomes gentrified because this is a desirable location to be located in, because you don't have to use a car and because it's convenient to a rail station. So I mean, I guess the state's policy is not to build you're not focusing on affordable housing at rail stations now, which is a deep concern to me.
No, we are. The parcel that's adjacent to the rail station is planned for mixed uses, including affordable housing. Like I said, affordable rental housing. And that would be, I believe the plan, it's roughly about 720 units. You know, and I would note that we don't have the same height and density limits like we do in East Kapolei as we do in like the urban core. So it's not as going to be these high towers, but we are including affordable housing as part of our mixed use. We're also including additional affordable housing units on the parcel that's immediately Malka of the rail station parcel across Farrington Highway. We're using a portion of those lands for affordable rental housing as well. So again, we are including it in our project. It's just the way this would work is, or at least the way we read the bill, is that all of our lands would be essentially forced to be for affordable housing. And, you know, we have other.
I guess that's my question. What's wrong with that? It seems like a good idea.
Well,
we need affordable housing desperately.
I think we are, you know, trying to balance that purpose along with, you know, other public purposes. You know, we are trying to generate revenues for the department, you know, through lease rents, and affordable housing doesn't, you know, really do that. Like I said, we're still including it but we'd like to use some of the lands, especially the ones farther away, for light industrial uses.
But
so
then
and also, oh, I'm sorry.
You're opposing the entire bill because of the plans at one station?
Well, due to its impact on the department, yes. I mean, because it is essentially a pretty firm mandate. I mean, that's why I said if there was some way to,
I'll,
you know, allow.
I'll stop badgering you, but I mean, that's half the point of rail is to have affordable housing at stations. I mean, it's partly it's half a transportation thing and it's half a way to focus development. So I'm amazed that we're at this point and we haven't figured that out yet. That's the part that's troubling to me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Senator Rhodes. And before I get to Chair Inoue, I just want to clarify that this bill doesn't mandate. It promotes land development and land use planning. It discourages the fragmentation. You know, it promotes the retention of the lands. So I don't understand where this mandate characterization from the department came from. Chair Inoue.
Okay, and I think earlier, and I can see the rationale of DLNR's opposition, because I think the concern was the sale or owning, that one would own the property, and that's where it's prohibited in our statutes anyway. But I want you to hear from Office of Planning, because I know you do have, as part of the commission as well, that they already had made decisions with regards to the TODs as well. So can we hear from Rodney?
Oh, good afternoon.
You've heard
Yes,
the discussion.
I understand where DLNR is coming from relative to their properties. I think the problem with the bill is, you know, a lot of uncertainty as to what the designation says, because it does say all state-owned lands shall be designated as important housing lands. So it doesn't necessarily try to encourage it, but what we have done is promote mixed uses. So it's not only affordable housing, but it is affordable housing in the context of mixed uses and tailored to the needs of the state agencies for particular properties. And in this case, the DLNR has, you know, made it clear that this is one of their income generating properties that they need to support their other missions. And so, you know, the mixed use context makes sense. And so it's more the unclear nature of the bill that is of concern. And, you know, what we have always advocated is a TOD along the entire rail line, not necessarily on only state lands, and, you know, and not only housing, because what we're trying to create is more mixed use communities as opposed to necessarily simply housing, standalone housing.
I understand that, Rodney, but if you look on page 2 and we look at from line 9, it talks about the following purposes, and then it goes on to page 3 where it does say that direct incompatible uses and activities from important housing lands to other areas and ensure that uses on important housing lands are actually for housing and mixed use purposes. It is highlighted.
Okay.
So it talks about mixed use purposes, and if need to tweak some of the other languages, Chair Chang, then we can try to address the issues. But I see the mixed use purposes included in their policy as well.
Okay, so
next to it, also on number 4 is supporting housing uses and activities. So I would think that unless we can strengthen the language there. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see Senator Moriwaki and then Senator Favela.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with this because we're talking about, even in number 2 on page 2, create highly walkable mixed use neighborhoods. So it really isn't only housing, it's housing and other activities that will promote neighborhoods. But I wanted to ask Chair Ayla, you excluded DHHL, but I understand that DHHL is also very interested in building housing and affordable housing, that if lands were owned along the rail line, why would you exclude yourselves from partnering with the other state agencies?
Thank you for that question, Senator. It's a function of our jurisdiction. So the commission is the entity that has the power of creating zoning and land dispositions. So we would do this anyway. It's just that this jurisdiction of the commission on those 2 points is why we're asking for the exclusion.
This is a policy issue across the state that all the agencies, have their own jurisdiction and their own authorities. But again, looking at affordable housing being a really major problem for the state, why we wouldn't hold hands. I know that there's been discussion already on how sharing of infrastructure so that we could build more housing that's affordable to our people. So I'm just wondering why we wouldn't partner on something like this, which is a major policy of making sure that we are looking at housing as critical.
Our position is, sorry, Senator, our opposition is not to not partner. Our opposition is the jurisdiction of the commission and the jurisdiction of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act.
So you're not opposed to the way this is written in terms of identifying important housing lands as a policy?
The way that the department views its lands is they're all important affordable housing lands, and our policies reflect that. And as I stated in the past, we'd be happy to partner with any other state agencies, county agencies, private developers, if it allows for the development of affordable housings for small and native Hawaiians.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Senator Favela.
Thank you, Chair. I guess, let me see. I can see all the names here. I guess from any of the departments. The reason why, Chair, the reason why this is come up, I don't know if you guys watched the council hearing about exactly what we're talking about. And Councilman said that they don't want money. So I know the state is taking this around the rail project, which is a great, awesome idea. I agree with Senator Rhodes. All the land should be affordable housing in that area, all of them. And not for sale of the land, but if we're gonna use it for affordable rental, 110%. But the thing is, what is the timeline here? Because the city doesn't seem to be on the page that from day one, the city said they was gonna do this as a priority. And yesterday when I was in the hearing, Calvin said at the end that they're gonna not deal with it right now because there's no money. What happened to the federal money that the city and all of this money, the 3%, all of these things that they was talking about? So if they don't do their part, how are we gonna do our part on our end in funding this in going forward? Because I like what, and I don't agree with William either all the time, but he's right. He should partner up with these guys and build affordable rentals. If it is in his purview, get people done. Start doing it now. Right now, we have engineers sitting down, getting paid from our tax dollars to be engineers. For what? They don't even have the end time of this rail. But why don't we start billing now, yesterday, on these properties? But the more we wait for the city, which I disagree, I think the state should take over the rail, take it away from the city, because I think we could do a management and do a better job for our people when building affordable homes. When Senator Chang, when you guys came up with this idea to do this, this is a perfect thing for my community because rail is all around my community, from by Ho'opili to Hawaiian Homes to Alun Farms to Waipahu by Kahimohala. It's an ideal place. We don't have enough affordable homes in our community. But what is the timeline? We're going to be talking about this until my grandkids come grandkids. I don't know. I'm not saying it's our fault, guys. I'm just saying the city is slow boating this thing. So unless we can make the city do their part, our part is just doing what we do now. Talking about when we're going to prioritize this going forward. I think it's a great idea. But like I said, guys, and my colleagues, I think we should take the rail back from the city and do a better job for affordable homes around the rail station. and just tell the city, sayonara, and we'll take over it from there. Because we have a better plan than they do. They just said yesterday they don't have money. So I don't know, what was the 3% for? So that was my thing. Sorry guys, but I just want to say that we are frustrated because our community needs it, and all of them around the rail station. But we don't even have an end time when rail is going to be. So what we should do is cancel all the engineers that's on rail right now. We pay money back into the state general fund, and let's use this to build affordable homes of what
We take that out.
Andy Chang is talking about. I think it's great. I'm all for that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes,
just want
Chair
to add-
Noe.
Yes, I think there's a conflict too, and maybe we should delete that part. On page 2, line 16, discourage the fragmentation of important housing lands and the conversion of those lands to non-housing uses. So I think maybe we should take that out because it's kind of confusing, because we're discouraging non-housing uses, and yet we're encouraging housing and mixed-use purposes on the previous comments I made as well. So if we can, I think that there's a conflict in that particular number, yeah, that sentence. If you agree, during our recess, we can talk about it further.
Thank you for the suggestion, Chair.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for the testifiers on Senate Bill 2232, members? Okay, if not, we'll move to the third bill on today's agenda, Senate Bill 2898, relating to community development. It establishes the Transit-Oriented Development Infrastructure Improvement District under the HCDA. It establishes districts to comprise of and include the parcels of land within county-designated transit-oriented development zones or within a half-mile radius of a proposed or existing transit station if the county has not designated transit-oriented development zones as determined by the TOD Infrastructure Improvement District Board. Okay, so we have several testifiers. Our first testifier is DLNR with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Chang and Chair Inouye, Ian Hiro, and members of the committee. Ian Hirokawa with DLNR Land Division. We'll stand on our written testimony, offering comments, and be available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next testifier is HCDA with support.
Good afternoon, Chairs Chang and Inouye, Vice Chairs Kanua and Keith Agaran, and the members of the committee. My name is Craig Nakamoto, and I'm testifying on behalf of Deepak Nupane and the Hawaii Community Development Authority. We stand on our testimony in support, and we offer clarifying comments. This is an important bill. The last year's, TOD zone improvement bill did not pass the legislature, but was vetoed. So this bill addresses that. Our clarifying changes are mainly to clarify the title in some of these headings, because it's important to get the title these correct. For example, making sure that it says TOD, transit-oriented development, infrastructure improvement district, and so forth. And I heard the testimony of DLNR, or read the testimony of DLNR. As to the special fund that's created in here, it is not the intent. It is not the intent of that fund to capture revenues that should go to DLNR. The intent of that special fund, members of the committees, is to, in the event that we create infrastructure improvements and there's private lands benefited by that, we could assess those private landowners. Those kind of assessments would go into the special fund collected. So I just want to just clarify that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next testifier is the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development with support.
Good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and members. Rodney Funakoshi from the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. OPSD stands in strong support of this measure. We feel it's very important for infrastructure delivery in TOD areas statewide. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have testimony comments from Department of Budget and Finance, as well as support from BIA Hawaii. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2898? Okay, if not, members, do we have any discussion on Senate Bill 2898? Senator, no, you're muted. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. HCDA. Craig.
Hi, Senator Inoue.
Yeah. Office of Planning supports, but they also had included some amendments, and I'm just wondering if you were apprised of that.
Yes, I am. So I'm gonna kind of go down the list of OSPD's comments. So I'm okay with correcting the title of the Department of Office of Planning to Office of Planning and Sustainable Development.
Okay, that was their bullet point. What was it?
That's a bullet point 1.
1. Okay, you're okay with that.
Yeah, bullet point 2. That reference I alluded to in my testimony. That that it's a mouthful to say TOD Infrastructure Improvement District. So some of that got kind of mangled in drafting. So we just want to correct that throughout. On their bullet point 3, and I think their comment is that sort of about the number of boards for the TOD improvement districts. So the way we envisioned it is there could be a number of TOD zones. But what we envision is a TOD board for each county. So for example, Oahu County would have a TOD board, Maui County, Kauai County, and Hawaii County. I think this structure, while maybe not perfect, it allows for representation by county. So we have the county director of planning and permitting. We have 2 county representatives, and then we have at-large members, and then a cultural specialist, in addition to the ex officio. It's a balance, Senator. I think we try to create a balance with representation.
And having said that, I think the TOD, Rodney, the TOD Council, I think also recognized and had initiated working with the counties. Rodney, if I'm correct.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. So it's already in place with the counties.
Well, those are more permitted interaction groups that we set up. So those are more temporary task-oriented groups. This would be a longer-term effort.
Okay.
Senator, thank you. Just moving on to their bullet point 4, I think their suggestion is to clarify that all of the members of these TOD boards are voting members. The answer is yes, they are all voting members. It just kind of states that in the bill, but if OP has some suggestions for clarification, I'm welcome to it. All of the members are voting members.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. With respect to their comment number 5, subpoint A, I'm fine with their addition on page 2, lines 4 to 6. With respect to their bullet point 5, subpoint B, their reference to each board, it goes to our intent to create, 4 county boards, and their changes okay with me.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or discussion, members? So members, what I've been told is that for the 1:30 Transportation Joint Committee with Transportation, the chair has to run to another meeting shortly afterwards. So if we're gonna we're going to ask everyone's indulgence to recess the housing, water, land agenda and proceed to the 1:30 housing transportation agenda, if that's all right. Okay,
That's
no
fine.
questions? Okay. We're recessed.
We have Vice Chair Lorraine Inouye, Senator Favela is with us, and we have a couple of members who may be joining shortly. Oh, Senator Shimabukuro, there she is.
Great, thank you. We have one bill on this agenda, Senate Bill 2193, relating to housing. It requires the inclusion of an unspecified minimum percentage of affordable housing units in state agencies' development and redevelopment plans along the rail transit corridor, allows the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development to make exceptions to the affordable housing requirement. And we have first testifier, DLNR, with comments.
Good afternoon, Chair Lee, Chair Chang, Ian Hirokawa, and members of the committee. Ian Hirokawa with DLNR Land Division. Department will stand on its testimony, offering comments on the measure and offering the amendment, to address the same issue we raised with the other bill regarding the sales of state lands. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second testifier, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Okay, is there anyone else? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, chairs, vice chairs, and members. OPSD stands on its written testimony offering comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2193? Okay. If not, any discussion or questions, members? Okay. Shall we take a brief recess and then come back for decision making? All right, we're in recess. Okay, welcome back from our recess. We're here for decision making on Senate Bill 2193, and having conferred, the chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments. We'll take the amendments proposed by DLNR and OPSD. So for DLNR, we are taking their language to include rental housing units with at least 50% reserved for residents. Also to delete references to owners, because we are talking about rental property, and also include the language, unless the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development determines that rental housing is not feasible or desirable on a particular property, provided further that this paragraph shall not apply to the rail transit corridor located in Halawa. And then for OPSD to take their amendments to replace lines 4 through 16 on page 12 with approve all state agencies' development plans for parcels along the rail transit corridor, provided that state agencies shall consult with the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development and the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation early in the formulation of agencies' development plans to determine whether housing is appropriate on the parcels, and if determined to be appropriate, how the provision of affordable housing units could be maximized on the parcel or parcels. Okay, any questions or discussion, members? Senator Favela, did you have questions? Nope. Okay. All right. Then so for the Committee on Housing, the recommendation for Senate Bill 2193 is to pass with amendments. Oh, and also technical and non-substantive amendments. So recommendation is to pass with amendments for Senate Bill 2193. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation for the Committee on Housing on SB 2193 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Moriwaki.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair 5 ayes. Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. For the Committee on Transportation, same recommendation. Oh, Senator, you're muted, I think.
I sure was. Thank you, Chair. On the Committee on Transportation, Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2193 is to pass with amendments. Chair Lee.
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Decoit.
Aye.
Senator Shimabukuro.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Measure is adopted with 5 members present, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further business, the Joint Committee on Housing and Transportation hearing is now adjourned. Okay, and we'll call the committees on housing and water land back. And we've now finished the up to Bill SB 2898. And Senator Inoue explained earlier that we'd be deferring the last measure on the item. So are we ready to go into recess for decision-making on these measures? Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair. We're in recess. Welcome back to the 1 o'clock hearing of the Joint Committees on Housing and Water Land. We'll be doing some decision-making now on our first measure, Senate Bill 2583, relating to public lands. Chairs having conferred, the recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments, to take technical and non-substantive amendments, as well as DLNR's amendment to add language providing that if the lands are no longer needed for housing, finance, and development, that they shall be returned to the agency that they came from. So that's the recommendation. Any discussion or questions, members? Okay, if not, recommendation for the Committee on Housing, Senate Bill 2583 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair.
Chair's recommendation for the Committee on Housing on SB 2583 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Moriwaki.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Reservations for Senator Favela. Chair, you have 5 ayes. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Chair Noe, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. For the Committee on Water and Land, Chair's recommendation on SB 2583 relating to public lands is to pass with amendments. Any discussions? Members, Senator Misalucha for the votes, please. Do I see you? Okay, Chair's yes, Chair votes aye.
Thank you, Chair. So for the Committee on Water and Land, this is in reference to SB 2583. Chair recommends with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair Agaran.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes yes. Senator Riviere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Reservations. With 5 votes, Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you very much. So our next measure today is Senate Bill 2232 relating to important housing lands. Having conferred, the chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments. The amendments include DHHL's recommendation to exclude Department of Hawaiian Homelands from the bill. Also DLNR's recommendation to make it clear that it applies to both rental and leasehold for sale housing by changing terms like eligible buyer and owner occupant. And finally, Chair Inoue's suggestion that we delete from page 2, line 16 to 18, the phrase discourage the fragmentation of important housing lands and the conversion of these lands to non-housing uses to promote clarity. Any discussion or questions, members? Okay, if not, so for the Committee on Housing, Chair's recommendation for Senate Bill 2232 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Chair's recommendation for SB 2232 for the Committee on Housing is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Moriwaki.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Reservations for Senator Favela. Chair, you have 5 ayes. Your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
The Committee on Water and Land Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2232 relating to important housing lands with amendments. Any discussion? Hearing none. Senator Misalicha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
For Senate Bill 2232 for the Committee on Water and Land, Chair votes recommends pass with amendments. Chair votes aye for the remaining members. Are there any reservations?
Reservations.
Reservations for Senator Revere and Senator Favela. Chair with 5 votes, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And that brings us to our third measure, Senate Bill 2898 relating to community development. Chairs having conferred, the recommendation will be to pass this measure with amendments, with technical non-substantive amendments, as well as the amendments from DLNR, HCDA, and Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. And it's a bit voluminous, so I'll try to just walk through them. First with DLNR to achieve clarity on section 206E-G. HCDA, their amendments to specify the word district on page 3, lines 8 and 10. To add on page 4, line 3, the district shall include all parcels of land on which any portion of said parcels are located within the county designated transit-oriented development zones or within a half-mile radius around proposed or existing transit stations if the county has not designated transit-oriented development. On page 4, line 4 and 7, to underline district, and to also add 206E-D Transit-Oriented Development Infrastructure Development Improvement District Board, established members, terms, vacancies. Page 5, line 19, strike through 2 years and change it to 3 years. Page 7, line 3, to add H, the board shall annually elect the chairperson, vice chairperson, and other officers from among its members. And also I, the members of the board shall serve without compensation, but shall be reimbursed for expenses, including travel expenses incurred in the performance of their duties. Page 7, line 5, to add the word district between improvement and board. Page 9, line 21, and page 10, line 2, to add district between improvement and program. And on page 13, line 18, and page 15, lines 5 and 7, to add the word district between improvement and special fund. And then we'd also take the amendments proposed by OPSD to correct references to Office of Planning to the new title, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. To number 2, make references to TOD Infrastructure Improvement District consistent throughout the bill. 3, to be consistent about the number of TOD improvement districts and boards, 1 for each county. Number 4, to state that all board members are voting members, and clarify language that assigns the board's authority for holding or disposing property and issuance of bonds rather than HCDA, the corporate body established to carry out the community development function set forth in HRS Chapter 206E. And then our last bullet point, to add amendments to page 2, lines 4 to 6, to ensure integration of transportation development, infrastructure development in support of TOD planning and coordination being undertaken through the Hawaii Interagency Council for Transit-Oriented Development. So on page 2, lines 4 to 6, this part is intended to move the transit-oriented development planning efforts being undertaken through the Hawaii Interagency Council for Transit-Oriented Development forward into infrastructure improvements that benefit the community. On page 9 to 10, section 206E-F-A, the Transit-Oriented Development Infrastructure Improvement Program assessment rules. Each board shall develop a transit-oriented development infrastructure program, improvement program to identify and address necessary infrastructure improvements needed within each district. In determining the required infrastructure improvements to be undertaken, the board shall consider the strategic plan prepared for the Hawaii Interagency Council for Transit-Oriented Development pursuant to section 226-63C and subsequent plans and studies prepared to further implementation of the strategic plan and the transit-oriented development projects therein. Okay.
Chair, can I have a comments?
Yes, Chair
Okay.
Inoue.
Yes, just to confirm, I circled all the bullet points that HCDA said they agree to, and it was only bullet point 1 and bullet point 5A and B. And so from TOD, you have the second bullet point on Office of Planning amendments all the way down to the last one, relationship. He didn't say anything, but I circled 1A, 1 and then 5A and B. Can we have Craig back again?
Yes. HCDA.
Craig?
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Senator, for allowing me to clarify. So let me just go down the list again. I think number 1 on OP's list is fine to clarify the new
Right.
title. Number 2, that's kind of subsumed in all of our different changes to the titles.
So
Number
you want that added in the bill then too?
Yeah, I think it's taken care of with our comments, Senator Inoue, all the
Okay,
different
okay.
changes, right? It's
Okay,
kind
so-
of taken care of by our comments.
Okay, so the question is, if you have their amendments, all of what Senator Chang read is okay then? So all of the bullet points?
Number 3 is fine to clarify that the number of boards. Number 4, I said the board
They're all-
members are voting. The second sentence in number 4 about assigning the boards the authority, assigning to the board the authority for holding. The board, as defined in the bill, will hold property with respect to the districts, not the authority, not the authority.
So do you want that number 4 or not?
No need number 4.
No need number 4. Okay, Senator Chang, is that okay to strike that?
That's fine.
Okay, that would be your bullet point recommendation, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
So we're striking the fourth bullet point.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And number 5?
Number 5, A and B. And
Yeah,
I just want to reiterate, the board members are voting members.
Right, okay. Okay,
Thank you, Senator, for allowing me to clarify.
thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? Okay, so just to clarify, so we'll be taking the amendments that I just detailed with the exception of the 4th bullet point under OPSD's testimony, as was just discussed.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so thank you. Any further discussion or questions, members? Okay, if not, so for the Committee on Housing, recommendation for Senate Bill 2898 is to pass with amendments. Chair votes aye.
Recommendation for SB 2898 on the Committee on Housing is to pass with amendments. Noting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members present. Are there any with reservations? Any in opposition? Chair, 5 ayes, recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The Committee on Water and Land Chair's recommendation is to pass SB 2898 with amendments. Any discussion? Hearing none. Senator Misalucha for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Thank you, Chair. For Senate Bill 2898 for the Committee on Water and Land, Chair recommends pass with amendments. With 5 members, Chair recommends pass with amendment. Chair votes aye. And Senator Vice Chair Agaran.
Aye.
Senator Misalucha votes aye. Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Okay. That brings us to the end of the joint hearing of the Committees on Housing and Water Land.
Thank you, chairs. Thank you, members.
Thank you very much for participating.
Remember.
All right, that hearing is adjourned, but the Committee on Housing, don't go anywhere because we are now back for our 1:45 agenda of the Joint Committees on Housing and Commerce and Consumer Protection. Okay, welcome back. Good afternoon. We're now commencing the 145 agenda of the Committees on Housing and Commerce and Consumer Protection. So here for the Committee on Housing, we have Vice Chair Kanuha, Senator Rhodes, Favela, and Moriwaki. Chair Baker.
For the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection, I have the pleasure of serving as chair. We have Vice Chair Chang, we have Senator Favela, we have Senator Moriwaki, and Senator Sanguina Ventura. Is Senator DeCoy? No. And Senator DeCoy.
Okay, great. Well, thank you everyone for participating.
We're a full house.
Thank you for participating, everyone. We have one measure on today's agenda, Senate Bill 2249, relating to homebuyer assistance. It establishes the state mortgage insurance program to guarantee up to 15% of the principal balance of real property mortgage loans under certain conditions. And our first testifier is Department of the Attorney General.
Good afternoon, Chairs Chang, Chairs Baker, members of the committees. I would like to offer comments. This measure provides that Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation may issue mortgage revenue bonds to fund the state mortgage insurance program. We would like to point out that Article 7, Section 13 of the state constitution allows that amount issued may be excluded from the state's debt limit if there is a reserve established and maintained by the state or the state agency that's running the program. So we would like to point out that if such is desired, that exclusion from the state limit as to the bonds being issued is desired, then such a provision should be put into this measure. Thank you for the opportunity to testify, and I'm available for questions.
Thank you. Our second testifier is HHFDC in opposition.
Aloha, Senator Chang. I believe my deputy, Francis Kino, is trying to get on. He's actually testifying on this measure.
Yes, I've been asked to start the video here. It's on now. Okay, it wasn't allowed. So good afternoon, Chair Chang, Chair Baker, Francis Kino for HHFDC. First of all, I want to apologize for not addressing our testimony to the Senate Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection. That was an oversight on my part. But we did submit testimony opposing Senate Bill 2249. You have our written arguments for the record. In addition, if I may, when a homeowner purchases a house, they're usually required to put 20% down. And if they do that, then the lender would not require mortgage insurance. However, if the homeowner fails to provide the 20% down, then by general practice, the lender would require the homeowner to purchase mortgage insurance. Under this proposal, HHFDC would guarantee up to 15% of the principal balance of real property mortgage loans. As we look at the bill, we feel that the lender would want full coverage of their mortgage loan, and therefore the homeowner would still have to pay a mortgage insurance premium. So we wanted to point that out. In addition, we note in the proposal that the lender actually gets the benefit that if the homeowner is delinquent in the payments, then HHFDC would make payments to the lender. So the point we're making is, is there any real benefit to the homeowner under this program? So we just wanted to submit that for the committee's consideration. Again, you have our written arguments in our testimony. For the reasons we oppose the Senate Bill 2249, and thank you for this opportunity to testify.
Thank you. You know, I don't think we did receive the written testimony. So is there any way that you can resubmit that?
Yes, definitely, we will. Okay. I will have someone do that as soon as possible. Okay. I'm just not sure if you're able to get it in the next few minutes, but I will ask staff to file that.
Well, given, yeah, I understand that. And given that we don't have it in front of us and we haven't seen it, to follow up, you raised some concerns about the structure of the program. Is there a better way to offer the home buyer a lower cost mortgage with a lower down payment than the policy outlined in this bill?
Apologies, Senator Chang. I mean, I would have to get back to you on that. I've not considered other options to the bill. I was just looking at what the bill itself proposed and you know, addressing the actual written proposal.
Chair Chang, they did in fact post on the website the written testimony from HHFDC.
Okay. So, okay. So just want to make sure your committee members receive our written testimony.
I did. I don't know about the others.
Okay.
Senator Chang, Chair Chang, Chair Baker, could I make a comment just as a matter of information to follow up on that testimony?
Please go ahead.
Okay, so I think one of the points that Francis intended to make was for the single family, any single family programs, generally it has been HHFDC's experience that they are unable to compete with the banks that offer better programs. And the issuance of a mortgage revenue bond many years ago had resulted in just the very delinquent loans being maintained by the state now. And that was to assist residents in Kahana Valley and Miloli'i. So the result of the single family programs that we had is the state being really the lender of last resort. So what we're doing is just maintaining all these delinquencies. So these tend to be the very high risk, and the state is just carrying now all of this delinquency in those areas. And so what our fear is for those that cannot get this kind of private mortgage insurance in the private sector, it would be like the loan of last resort, the mortgage insurance of last resort. So the state would just be willingly taking on all this debt and carrying it for like long term.
So Denise, are you saying that the state is continuing to carry some of these loans from more than a few years ago?
So the loans that were made many years ago, and I don't know what year it was, in certain areas, we have tried collecting since COVID. You know, we don't want to evict. The land actually belongs to DLNR. The properties were financed, I believe, by HHFDC. So the banks, we partnered with the banks, was my understanding. And then the banks ended up returning the loans to us because they were just so problematic. So the state has just been carrying it. And during COVID, it was just very difficult. No one wanted to evict these people. But this is what the state ends up assuming. It's all this bad debt because of the type of Well, so we just want to caution that, you know, this could be another program where we just carry the debt.
So what's your solution?
At least for this particular program, just let the market handle it. There's private market, there's a private mortgage insurance that mortgage companies already offer. We don't really understand the split because normally mortgage companies want to insure the whole loan, not just a percentage of it, unless you have equity in the property. And then if you have a lot of equity, you don't need the private mortgage insurance. So just a whole lot of, for single family programs, HHFDC's history has been that they just can't serve the market like the way the private sector can. And then we just take on a whole bunch of delinquency in the end.
So you don't have any suggestions for how we could improve a program or how we could fix the situation? You're not offering us a solution.
Yeah, I couldn't, you know, we could take it back and talk to staff maybe on how we could do it. We generally have discontinued all of our single family programs except for the mortgage credit certificate that we've been able to help with. And even doing that, it comes at a cost because the mortgage credit certificate requires private activity bond cap. So we have to sacrifice private activity bond cap in order to do single family programs. And that means we can't do as many multifamily rental housing projects. So the programs are all complex and they affect other parts of the programming. So we'd have to really take a look.
Okay, that's help. Your explanation is helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next testifier is Department of Budget and Finance with comments, followed by Honolulu County Republican Party in opposition. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on Senate Bill 2249? Okay, if not, any discussion or questions, members? Okay, if not, Senator San Buenaventura.
Sorry, so for Denise, I understand that you folks need to balance with your existing, like the rental housing revolving fund that you folks are managing, but this bill actually creates a special bond where, creates a special fund that is funded with mortgage revenue bonds. So it seems to me that there is separate funding for this special fund if we pass this bill. So it doesn't sound like to me you guys need to juggle, is all I'm saying.
Okay, so let me see if I can explain this properly. It depends on, because the source of that is issuing these revenue bonds, right? Mortgage revenue bonds. If it involves tax exempt mortgage revenue bonds, it will tap up against the private activity bond cap. So it all comes under the bond cap on tax exemption. And so it's very complicated, but the state is limited because bond cap is limited by volume for the whole state. So.
Okay, sorry, I got it now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks. So we will go into recess and come back for decision making. Okay, welcome back from our recess. So having conferred and having engaged in some robust discussion with members of both Housing and Consumer and Commerce committees, sounds like we still need quite a bit more information on how best to craft a low down payment mortgage program that would be viable in the state, and that would be, you know, a good concept for the future. And so we just don't have that time as of right now to, you know, come to some sort of consensus. So we'll be deferring this measure, and we'll be working on a resolution or some other vehicle in the future to be to study this matter further, perhaps with a working group. So again, for the Committee on Housing, we'll be deferring Senate Bill 2249.
Same recommendation for the Committee on Commerce and Consumer Protection to defer indefinitely Senate Bill 2249.
Okay, and there being no further business, this hearing is adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.